Today I'm going to go through my top 6 calisthenics movements that I think you should be training. We have Handstand Balance, with the number 1 goal being the one arm handstand. Number 2, we have the Handstand Push Up, with the goal being a strict freestanding version. Number 3, Press Handstand. I'm going to go for the Pike Press today. It was hard to pick the one that I get the most requests for, but normally if you can do the Pike Press, you can do all the rest. Number 4 and number 5, Planche and Front Lever, stroke back lever. So basically a lever position for that one. And I think a realistic goal I can get most people to is the straddle planche and the full back lever. And number 6, the strict muscle up. So today I'm going to take you through those top 6 calisthenics movements. I'm going to show you where most people start, what most people's goals are, and then give you an overview or a quick idea of the progressions and regressions that go in the middle. You just need to make sure that you haven't got any big gaps and you know where you are in that line of progression. I have programs for all these movements in my new app, so check that out down in the description, and let's jump in. So first of all, with the one arm handstand, most people are working on their freestanding handstand. So we need to increase that circle of balance. To start with, for the 2 arm handstand, we just have the forward and the back. So when I kick up to the wall, I'm now in overbalance because I'm leaning on the wall. If I push through my fingers, make the body one segment, I can pull my body off the wall. So I need to understand and strengthen this overbalance so I have control from the handstand to the wall. So that's one side of the handstand. We then need to do the opposite, the toe pull, so this way. So if I'm leaning on the wall now, I'm falling towards underbalance. I need to pull myself off the wall using the shoulders, take myself to handstand and go back again, and I need to fill that gap. So now I'm filling the gap between the handstand and the underbalance. If I can do both of those things, I can control underbalance and I control overbalance. I can control the handstand. Then it's building time conditioning in that freestanding position so you get nice and happy here. You can move between the overbalance and the underbalance. Once you have that, it's starting to play with shapes. Now the reason we play with shapes is again to increase that circle of balance, but also when we're going towards the one arm handstand, it's much easier to flag over, keeping the body one segment, lowering the center of gravity, bringing everything towards that base, and making it much easier to learn the one arm handstand. So a wide split straddle is going to make it much easier to learn the one arm handstand. So learning that one segment there, taking over to one side, shifting weight, learn to hold on to fingertips, go to one finger, and then eventually lift the hand up in the air. So that's about 18 months, 2 years of work to go from this position to that one arm handstand. Skill number 2, we have the handstand push up. Now where people start with this is a little bit different. A lot of people have a lot of strength. So skill number 2 is the handstand push up. Now most people are going to start around the pike push up position. They might have the strength to do the handstand push up, but understanding the body positioning, the pathway of the movement, and how to make everything work together is the challenge. So you need to normally go through the progressions to learn that, even if you've got parts of the movement as well. And this is where we need to tie in the freestyle and handstand work as well. We need to be working on that freestyle and handstand at the same time. Now with the pike push up, this is where most people are at. We're in that open shoulder position. We come forwards, we load the shoulders, we come down, we kiss the head, and we come back again to that open shoulder position. From there, we can work different variations of the pike push-ups. And we also really need to understand this shoulder lean position that is also going to come in play with the underbalance, the press, and the handstand push-up. So this closing of the shoulder that puts me in a really good place to start to go towards the floor, like that. Notice the head position is exactly the same as the bottom of the pike push-up. And then when I come back up, I would open out back to that handstand position again. So we can be working the strength part of the handstand push-up with the pike push-ups and adding in some overhead pressing if we need to. We can be practicing eccentrics either freestanding or against the wall. Partial range coming to a target and then coming back up again until we have the strength and control to put it all together into a freestanding controlled movement. Number 3, the press handstand. Now with this one, we need to have a certain amount of flexibility. The goal is to get our hips on top of our hands, which makes our feet float. Now that looks easy when someone can do it, but most people when they first try that, they're gonna look like this, and their hip and their legs are so far backwards that they're just gonna feel very, very heavy, and it's gonna feel very confusing and impossible to actually lift the legs. So we need a certain amount of flexibility to help us easily get our hands to the floor and allow us to get the hip on top of the hands, which takes us up in the air. So that's where we need to start working lots of different forward fold flexibility, the straddle pancake work, the pathway of the press handstand, isolated like that, and different variations of the eccentrics. So now that could be freestanding, that could be pike like this,
which is the hardest variation. It could be straddle or tuck. Whoops, the wall's in the way. That is easier because I can come around and I can keep my legs closer to the wall. Partial range until eventually it all comes together into that pike press movement. Now with planche and lever, I'm a big fan of using variations like skin the cat to start to get that straight arm control. And combining that with planche leans and scapular push-ups to understand the protraction and upper back scapular positioning that's all important for that planche position. Then you can start hanging out in your lever and planche positions, understanding the progressions. So the tight tuck position, the flat back or advanced tuck, the frog, the high hip straddle, the open hip straddle, and the full position. And it's then just a case of spending lots of time under tension in the different positions. And you'll soon find out that the planche is much harder, so you're going to be hanging out for longer in tuck positions. And the front lever is much easier, so you can wind it up. Look, I'm holding conversations in this position, and there's no way I could hold a conversation in the straddle planche. But both are the same, where you have to spend lots of time under tension, lots of sets and reps in those static positions. We can use bands and different exercises, but the planche and the front lever is very, very basic training. And then you keep extending the body out and out until you can hit your goal positions, whether that's full like this or straddle like this. Then we have the strict muscle up. Now where most people are at when they first start this is understanding the positioning, so making sure they have the components. So it's doing a false grip chin up, doing a transition, and then a dip. So a good way to test that is like I just did on my tiptoes, and doing slow eccentrics to see where your gaps are. Where do you drop through the movement? Once you know that, it's filling the gaps with the right progressions and putting it all together in the correct pathway. Now I go through all the progressions and regressions of all these skills in my app. It's just launched, it's down in the description. To date, there's 20 programs on there for all different levels, and I'm going to be adding new ones each week, as well as follow along videos. If you have any questions, message me or comment below, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks guys.